Steph, here we are. A year of Lee Strong, 9 months to be exact, coming to the end of 2021 and looking ahead to 2022. It's been a privilege to have partnered with you on this. We've done 8 hours of broadcasting, over 16 episodes, 28 guests. Amazing achievement, one I've thoroughly enjoyed. What for you has been your highlights?
Oh, well, yeah, it has been incredible. And who would have thought, like, we're ending the year running Capfinity's latest business unit together? Like, who would have thought that at the beginning of the year? So, yeah, for me, it's like, well, when I reflect on the year, we've had kind of chatty guests, we've had thoughtful guests, we've had self-conscious guests, we've had passionate guests. We've had guests who are plugging their own thing, a real kind of range. And then, you know, in terms of locations, based in Australia, based in Singapore, based in California, and obviously loads in the UK where we are. And it's been such a privilege to hear from all of them. And then just such a wide range of industries like healthcare, tech, FMCG, legal, media, pharma, telecoms, travel, the list goes on. And, you know, it's an amazing sort of array of individuals when you step back. And I guess I've just really appreciated their thoughtfulness, you know, that they've really sort of prepared as they've come into Lead Strong. And I think it's really easy for leadership to become a very sort of serious concept that, particularly for new leaders, they think, how do I do that thing? And actually, I feel the episodes have been a really nice mix of some of the theory, but also lots of practical application, which I think is so important for people to see and hear about. And it's made me reflect on like my own strengths as a leader and definitely where I need support and where I'm lacking. You know, I feel all too aware of where I fall short, I guess, and like staying open to feedback and like, you know, the ability to continually improve is what I'm really passionate about, and ensuring it's okay for my team to speak up and be able to give me that feedback, and also for me to own when I fail as well. Because we've seen through so many topics that the thing that we keep coming back to is the importance of psychological safety, because it's that critical factor in ensuring teams perform well, and the science tells us that as well, and that's come through in our Lead Strong episode. So for me, there's sort of something about a commitment next year to keep learning, keep being open, even when it's really uncomfortable and I don't know the answers. My hair has got a lot more grey since episode 1. I'm not sure about it.
Is that because you been working with me so closely?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And I think the thing that one of the quotes that stood out, and there was lots of amazing things, so I'm slightly anxious about calling one thing out, but one of our early episodes, we had Del Hussein as one of our guests, and he said this lovely thing at the end of the episode, which was, we come into the world with nothing and we leave with nothing. And, you know, in between that, we need to make our contribution to the world. And, you know, that's to be of service and to be the best service we can be to make others flourish. And I just reflected on that and thought it's really important to me that people I've worked with in the past and the people I'm working with now, when I no longer work with them in the future, that they feel I did that for them. And, you know, I'm really grateful that he shared that. What are some of your highlights? That's enough from me.
Oh, no, I agree with everything you said, and it has been a real privilege and honour to have done these series. And I reflect back to April when we started. You know, we'd had COVID in 2020. I'd come back from maternity leave, my second mat leave. You know, everything was so unknown, and it's just a real, you know, I feel a real sense of pride over what we've achieved with Lee Strong, and a real humility and gratitude towards all of our guests. And, you know, it's been really inspiring to connect with all these different people, with all these different perspectives. There are standout episodes for me. I learned a lot when we were looking at safety critical environments, you know, with Jenny and Rob, Oliver and Lucy talking about inclusive leadership. That was one of our really early episodes. When Amy joined us talking about female leadership in the city, that was kind of really, really interesting as well. And then most recently looking at innovation and sustainability. I mean, we've covered so much ground, haven't we? And I think it's been wonderful to see how it's all interconnected, and I've learnt a lot, and I look forward to continuing to learn a hell of a lot more next year.
Brilliant. So, folks, we've done a little summary video of all the highlights this year, and we share this with you and with the people who were guests. And, you know, big thank you to all of those people who came and were guests. We might have you back. You never know. When we run out of contacts. I'm joking. But what we'd love you to do is enjoy that episode now. We're sharing that with you now. And we will see you in January. We'll be back then, ready for a new year of Lead Strong. We hope whatever you do over the holiday season is wonderful, but you get some time to rest, and see you on the other side.
Thank you, Steph. Thank you, everyone. Mwah. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We will be talking about everything to do with leadership, and specifically, you know, what are the challenges that leaders are facing, and how in organisations and as professionals in this space we can really help people. We're hoping, Steph, aren't we, that what we can give to listeners through this series is a combination of some really good practical tips, so things that you can take away and deploy in your roles tomorrow, as well as just some real food for thought, you know, sparking debate around different issues. So a combination of takeaways and just musings, which I think is critical, especially given, you know, everything that we've been through in the last 18 months.
We have this wealth of talent, wealth of experience that we could be using so much more effectively.
The most recent forecasting is that if you turn 60 today, you've a better than 50% chance of living to 90 plus. That's another third of your life. Why are we squandering it? I mean, in organizational terms of going, we want those people to go just at the time they've got all the wisdom and they're still in the, so there's something to me about, there's an absurdity as well as an unfairness to it.
As I coach and counsel organizations on the return to work concept, is I feel like a lot of senior management and execs are stressing about what is this hybrid model going to look like? How's it going to work from a business perspective, from a people perspective? And I always just say, ask your people. Don't do it in a vacuum. Don't take that stress upon yourself to just get it right. You know what your business needs, but you're only going to know what your people need if you simply ask the question. So engage them, have them be a part of the solution, and don't try and make sure that it's perfect across the board.
What maybe could we be doing differently as we go into a more hybrid way of working? I think it's really being quite planful about what works can you do best in a remote environment. That might be, you know, meetings with people you're really well connected with, large group meetings where technology facilitates big groups coming together. But when you're in the workplace, you know, thinking about keeping your diary a little bit more free to kind of perhaps invest in that kind of incidental conversations around the water cooler, that connection with people you've never met before, or just those kind of everyday conversations that build that sort of social capital.
I think that period that you're a leader, I always say to myself, we come with nothing and we leave with nothing, and all we can do is make our contribution in between. So what is the contribution we can make? It's to be of service. So I think as a leader, our role is to be the best service we can be to make other people flourish.
We all have bad days, and sometimes you don't know the answers. But certainly for me, if I'm following someone, like a true leader for me, I will follow if I believe that they're being honest, and if they're having a tough day, there's still a level of professionalism that you need to hold realistically, you know, depending on the level that you're at. But being an authentic leader, whichever way that is, if you are a micromanager or you're a complete hands-off or you're a nurturer, I think authenticity is the most important thing for me above anything.
When all of us get into overwhelm and stress, understanding yourself well enough to be able to catch it and put support structures around ourselves is probably the single most important factor in terms of being able to navigate that.
We just all ought to be, as leaders, ought to be aware of our shadows, both the positive and the negative, because actually, you know, everything we do is multiplied to the people who are following us. So just be aware of the shadow that you cast for good and for bad.
Happiness is a serious business, and businesses should take it seriously, and it's very dynamic, so you need to measure it dynamically. I think if you're going to manage something, however you need to measure it, I think it makes a great people KPI.
My final thought is, don't be afraid to be happy.
My message to any leader is, remember that you don't have to do it on your own, right? That as a team you can decide what changes or what stays the same, as Dan was talking about earlier. And so you don't need to come up with those answers yourself. And it's actually much more effective if, as a team, you discuss what those answers should be.
Being very explicit about what is stable and what is changing.
Yes.
Because that's how you give people that sense of psychological safety, right? Is if you can really help people know where the points of stability are in the system, in the work environment, in the work you're doing, it helps them deal with the points of instability, and it helps them lean into being agents of change and actually being innovators.
The main thing I think about this assessment of potential is that people have got to use some rigorous assessment tools as well as looking at performance. So good performance is the baseline, and then measuring for potential has got to happen and be overlaid on top of that. So you're looking for their ability, their learning agility, you're looking for their social skills, their influencing skills, their relationship skills, and not only that, the will and the motivation and the drive to progress. So those are the things I think people have got to be looking for.
It's absolutely crucial for people in the business to understand the difference between performance and potential. And I think if you get that really good understanding across your key decision makers, you're well on the way to selecting the right people for the right role and building your leadership pipeline.
So I pinched a phrase from the CEO of Salesforce who said, change is not a solo sport. And I completely resonate with that. It's not. All the big things you see that get delivered in life, it's a team of people that do all these great things that happen. And I think what we need to remember is when we're going through change, transformational changes, you need to take people on a journey. And I feel quite passionate about this because I've seen so many times where if you don't, you waste energy and time and money trying to get to your North Star, and you can't because you're not communicating with people effectively. You're not bringing them into the fold and taking them with you.
When you think you've seen it all, you probably haven't. I've been through many rounds of transformation and thought I understood it and I kind of had my arms around it, and then something else happens. So remaining just flexible and know that Rome wasn't built in a day, right? Obviously, and it's going to take time to focus on the things you can control.
For leaders, maybe don't underestimate the importance of sharing lessons learned from mistakes and supporting people to come forward for that, because the unknown benefits in the future are probably endless, actually, but sharing those lessons learned.
We all need to remember that this volatile environment that we're now in, it's not going away, is it? There'll be something else around the horizon. What we've learned as leaders is the flexibility and adaptability that we need to adapt next time. And for me, the key is authenticity. You said it, Celine. It's about communicating and listening to what people need, because the people that we lead, they know the answers as well. So let's collaborate together and try and lead from the front in that way.
There's no denying that women diversity and value at the leadership level, and I really think that all leaders, female and male, should take responsibility for continuing to attract and encourage and develop female talent, to ensure we have that diversity at senior levels, but also making sure that we've got parity and equity once they get there as well. We want to make it an inclusive environment once they get there.
Leadership is not about status, it's not about me. It's about making a difference and about taking a stand for something that is probably bigger than you are. And I think that's where legacy lives, in that place of it's bigger than you are. So don't feel, although having said that, you can make the small difference on a day-to-day basis, but on an ongoing basis, it's something that you can buy into and leave for others to follow on with and continue to make that difference.
As a leader, we are in such an advantageous position. We can create this massive ripple effect if we actually consider the power we have to be a force for good. So really thinking about what is that imprint that I want to leave behind by what I say and what I do, And honestly, as we just discussed, you don't have to have that position and power to do that. You can do it as an individual contributor, you can do it as a parent, literally at every stage of life.
We need to treat this as an adaptive problem. All the efforts to do it where people have just tried to simplify it or be like a one size fits all, spend 2/3 of your week in the office and we'll tell you which days, all of those seem to be failing spectacularly. So I think we don't need to come at this with technical solutions. We need to kind of see it for what it is, and kind of appreciate that it's complex, and we need to think hard on it. I don't think this is a quick win space. I think this is for people who really care, and I can hear it in the way that Katrina's thinking, not just about her own role, but about her whole industry sector. It's for people who care about it to really think hard on how we come up with the solutions that are right for people who've had a really tough last 24 months.
Yeah. We achieved in 1 month, a step change which normally would have taken 10 years. So I think the big challenge is, how do we develop ways of working to keep those benefits and address the challenges? And I'm not saying I've got the answer, but it is about bringing back the fun. And I think we've got to work on that after Christmas.
Agile leadership is about confidence and collaboration. I think self-belief has a huge part to play in this. The self-belief that you can lead through complexity and ambiguity, play to your strengths, but learn from the outcomes, correct if you need to. I'd also say it's not about going it alone. I do think it's important to bring others in a collaborative way, but also to offset any kind of preferences you might have for agility. If you're overplaying that and you're causing stress and anxiety for other people, or leading change that's not really necessary, I think other people can help kind of highlight that. So bring others along with you, don't go it alone, have the confidence and self-belief to lead through ambiguity.
The most important thing in being a leader is being authentic, no matter what the context is being an authentic leader. So I think that helps leaders kind of going, okay, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and people can see and recognize that.
When thinking about innovation, start with the customer in mind and work backwards. And then I think, as I mentioned, I kind of bucket it into 2 key areas. And when you're thinking about your innovation investment and how you tackle it, you've got that 0 to 1 innovation. So, how are you disrupting your own business, or how are you creating a completely new, area to play in? That's one part of innovation. But then you've got the 1 to N innovation, which could be marginal gains, as we talked about, or something bigger. But you need to be spending time in both areas, because if you neglect one of those, you're liable for disruption either way. So I think that for me is really key.
Generating kind of an environment in which people feel free and inspired to innovate is, you need people that have got a high degree of customer empathy and a high degree of kind of cause empathy or purpose empathy. You need both of those things. The more you have both those things, the kind of more solid, fertile soil you've got for kind of the right ideas to grow.
Sustainability and therefore leadership, often you focus on the technology. It's the big investment. There's a something over there that will save us. No, it's about people. It's about behaviours. It's about attitudes. It's about personalities. It's about collaborative action, and it's about togetherness. And I think true leadership in and around the environment is never only about the environment, because it's about the social opportunities that it can create too. So I think sustainability and sustainable leadership must be about the people and the triple bottom line.
I would implore leaders to be brave in their sustainability ambition and agenda, and just be uncomfortable, and be okay with being uncomfortable, because you probably will like it. I would say I would leave it at that.
We'll hold you to that.